My name is Kamini and today we are going to do another very important topic called as I'm going to tell the name of the topic, and this also topic is very important and we will learn more about it. We can use it in our daily life, in our sentences, in our comprehensions, in our compositions, in our letter writing, in our content writing, even in our essay writing. So let's see what this topic is. The topic that we are going to learn today is clause or clauses. Let's see what is a clause or a clauses, or what are clauses. What is a clause? A subject and predicate working together is a clause. Very simple. A subject. Now any sentence has got a subject and a predicate. Okay, and if both of these things, both subject and predicate, are together and they're working together, it becomes a clause. Some examples, sentences that you can understand. I am. I would be the subject, am would be a predicate. Reading is fun. Reading is a subject, is a predicate. Okay, is fun would be a predicate. I study hard so I get good grades. I would be a subject. Study hard so I get good grades, that would be a predicate. Mike went to the park and Shelley cleaned. Now here, what is a subject? Now there are two subjects and two predicates in this. Mike would be a subject, went to the park would be the predicate. Shelley would be a subject, cleaned would be a predicate. Now and would be a conjunction. So any sentence which has got a subject and a predicate are working together, they are called as clauses. Now types of clauses. Now we have learned what is a clause. Now what are the different types of clauses? Now we are just going to read the definition and understand the definition. Okay, basically two types of clauses: main independent clause, subordinate dependent clause. Okay, so main clause would be the part of the sentence that can stand alone as its own sentence. So in the main clause, it doesn't need any, it can stand alone in a way like the part of the sentence that can stand alone as its own sentence. Now subordinate dependent clause, the part of the sentence that cannot stand alone as its own sentence. So again, any sentence which has got a part of a sentence that can stand alone is a main clause, and part of a sentence that cannot stand alone as its own sentence is a dependent clause, subordinate clause. Now for example, divers often wear wetsuits, which are examples of basic diving equipments. Now the first part of the sentence, if I read the first part before the comma, it can stand alone. Like if that sentence was given, you can understand, it doesn't need any more explanation. But the second part, which are examples of basic diving equipment, this particular sentence is not understandable if I put this sentence alone. So when I put this sentence alone, I will not understand what is the meaning of the sentence. So the first part of the sentence is the main clause. The second part would be the subordinate clause, which needs the first part, which needs the main clause, because the second part of the sentence we are not able to understand if we keep it just as it is. Okay, so you must have understood. Now I can give you other examples. I buy vegetables. First part of the sentence, from the supermarket. Now I would ask you, what is the main clause in this and what is a subordinate clause? I buy vegetables. Now if I say I buy vegetables, you can understand from the sentence itself. You don't need any more explanation. But if I just write the sentence from the supermarket, so you will ask what you buy from the supermarket. It's not understandable, right? From the supermarket, if I say everybody will ask me, what are you buying from the supermarket? So it's not understandable. That is why it is a subordinate clause. So the main clause has to be there for this sentence, and the main clause would be I buy vegetables. When I put the whole sentence, I buy vegetables from the supermarket, I can understand the full sentence. When I take the sentence as I buy vegetables, that also is understandable. From the supermarket, not understandable. People will ask our students, or students might ask you questions. What are we buying from the supermarket? So we have to put a main clause, the main part of the sentence. So this is how I can explain you very easily what is a main clause and what is a subordinate clause. There are many sentences which you can make with this. For example, it can be I like to watch movies. I like to watch movies in the theater. Now there are two parts to this sentence. Now if I say I like to watch movies, it's understandable. Okay, no, we will not ask. We may not ask any other question. But if I say in the theater, the second part of the sentence, if I just give you that, then we may not understand what the meaning of the sentence is. So if I put both the parts, then it's understandable. If I put the first part, it's still understandable. But if I put the next part of it in the theater, I'm not going to understand. So, or we are not going to understand. So that is why the main clause has to be there, and the subordinate clause also has to, sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. But the subordinate clause needs a main clause or the independent clause. Now some of the examples that I have listed for you. Now we also know what are phrases or an idioms. Now little bit, some of the examples that I have given in this, or I have put down for you. A clause, Lola sang beautifully. It's an example. Now it's a clause. An abandoned ship is a phrase. The white flower is a phrase. The boys kicked the football, clause. Opposite the park, phrase. The wind howled fiercely, clause. So what is a clause? What is a phrase? What is a phrase? What is a clause? What is a phrase? What is a clause? You can understand from this exercise that we are doing, okay, on phrases and clauses. Now why is the first part a clause? Because it is a subject and a predicate, or there is a subject, okay, or there is a main clause, that is and there is a subordinate clause. An abandoned ship, now this is a phrase, okay, these are group of words, but they are telling us something, okay. The white flower, again a phrase. Now phrases also, like we have studied phrases, it can also be group of words that make sense literally, or like that makes sense together, okay. The boys kicked the football, it can be a clause. Opposite the park, it can be a phrase. The wind howled fiercely, again a clause. So basically, what is a clause? A clause it has to have a subject and predicate. It can have a main independent part of the sentence, and there could be a subordinate sentence also. So very simple to understand. Okay, so this is all I have for this session. Now I'm going to give a recap of the session that I've taken. Okay, So students, a small summary or a recap of what we have studied today. We have studied about clauses, which means a sentence having a subject and a predicate, sentences having uh, sentences having main uh, sentences having main clauses, or let us say sentences having part of sentences that can stand alone, and there could be a subordinate sentence which may help or which may be a helping sentence to the first part of the sentence, or it can also be just one part of the sentence. Okay, and difference between clauses and phrases. Now if uh, you may find such sentences, clauses, phrases, as well as idioms. So clauses, when you see a subject and a predicate, it's a clause. Okay, so this is a small recap, a summary of what we have studied today, what we have understood today. I hope you've liked my session about clauses. In my next session we will do something more in English grammar, and till then, thank you so much. Bye bye.